Jake at Tacticon Armament. Today we're going to be covering how to mount and level a Falcon V2 LPVO, or the Apex Falcon LPVO. That's the 1 to 4 by 24 and the 1 to 6 by 24, or any other LPVO that you may have. It's pretty much going to be the same concepts. Today we are using this lovely box instead of a sled or instead of a vise. You're more than welcome to use a vise or a sled if you've got one, but I wanted to be able to use the tools that you could probably find around your house to be able to get this done. We already include the 2 levels here that you're going to be using. They're going to come inside of the package that you're going to be purchasing, so that you don't need to go purchase them. We're going to have 1 optic, 1 mount, and 1 AR-15 that is not included in your purchase. Before we get to using this for your safety nuts out here, I'm gonna go ahead and clear this. Finger this little hole right here. I don't think we have any rounds in that little fella. And then I'm gonna flip this on the other side. I would normally not mount it like this, but because for demonstration purposes, I want you to be able to see the mount being placed on that side in the camera. All right, first thing we're gonna do is find proper mount placement forward and back on the rail. So I'm going to initially put it probably right about here. The key to this is making sure that it is on the upper receiver. You don't want it halfway on the upper receiver and halfway up on this rail up here where this splits. The thing is this can be level while this isn't. So just ensure you have it completely on the upper receiver. Next, I'll take the optic. We're going to take the lens caps off while we do this. Just makes it a little easier. They don't get in the way as much. So I'll pull the front cap off, pull the rear cap off here. And we'll go ahead and set this in here. And then I'm going to take a look at this and see exactly where I want it to be. I may have to move the entire mount up, or I may just need to adjust the scope slightly. All right, that's right about where I want it front to back. So I can see that, just kind of mentally note that I've got the rear of this scope on the front of my charging handle here, and that's where I'm gonna want it to be. So I'm gonna remove the scope, and I'm going to complete mounting the mount on the rifle. What I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna make sure that this mount is all the way forward on the rail. The recoil on the firearm is going to send the optic forward, so you just want to keep it pushed up nice and snug while you tighten these down here. For the tightening, we do include the hex wrenches in the packaging. The hex wrenches are going to be about a 2.5 millimeter hex. And the way we're going to do this is just hand tighten these at first. I'll start with the back, move to the front, and then do the 2 in the middle. All right, so as far as tightening the mount, we don't want to over tighten it. You don't want to strip the bolts. So you're going to hand tighten it, and we're going to hand tighten it, or you're going to, if you have a torque wrench, you could use a torque wrench, and it's going to be set to about 20 inch-pounds. I found that the equivalent of 20 inch-pounds is putting the hex wrench, tightening it with the hex wrench, hand tightening it until the back of this hex wrench starts to flex a bit. And we'll do it again here. And in the middle. And there as well. Okay. And to validate this, I've got a torque wrench here. You can buy the torque wrench on Amazon for about 40 bucks. I think Vortex sells one for about 90 bucks. It's pretty good. I've got mine set to 20 inch-pounds here. All right, so the mount is secure. Now we're gonna put the optic on and we're gonna level it out. So I'm gonna go ahead and line that up with the front of the charging handle, which is kind of where I had eyeballed that in before. and just double check it to make sure that it's exactly where I want it on here. All right, so that placement is good for me. I'm gonna move it up just a touch. I'm gonna take my first level and I'm gonna put it on the upper receiver, right to the front of the charging handle there, and it will clear the bottom of the optic. I'm gonna put the other one on the elevation turret for the scope. First thing I'm gonna do is level the rifle out. So in order to get the rifle, if you're using a cardboard box like we are, you're gonna wanna be able to, you're gonna wanna kind of lock it into place. I do that by adjusting the buttstock and kind of bringing it in towards the cardboard box. What that does, it allows me to rotate this left to right, and it'll stay there once I let go. So let's get the rifle level. Rifle's level. Let's get the optic level. Optics level. Now we're gonna put the scope ring mounts on there. Once the scope ring mounts go on there, I'm just gonna briefly tighten one or two of them before I go through and set all the rest. That'll keep it in place while I'm actually doing the tightening. So again, tighten the first couple in a diagonal pattern. Here's the first scope ring mount. These are gonna be 3mm hex. And if you want them to, if you want some permanency in the installations, you could definitely put some blue Loctite on here or some purple Loctite. It's got a little less strength than the blue Loctite. Double check level, we're still level. And I'm gonna start hand tightening these 3mm bolts. Okay, now that I've gotten these two down, I'm gonna start screwing these in a cross pattern. So I'll tighten this one down, then this one, then this one, and I'll do the same thing for the rear. But the first thing I'm gonna do is snug up two of them so that the optic doesn't move around while I'm tightening the rest. All right, so once these are tightened up, what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna validate that my rifle's still level and the optic is still level. Sometimes when you've gone through and tightened them down, one or the other has moved slightly. So it looks like we're good here. So I'm gonna go ahead and remove these because I can't make any other adjustments to the scope right now since it's already been tightened down enough. Then I'm gonna come back here and you can go through and you can hand tighten these down. Again, kind of the rule of thumb for that is if you've got a hex wrench, you're gonna wanna hand tighten it until the hex starts flexing a little bit and you can't really tighten it anymore. If you do have a torque wrench, which I highly recommend, set it to 20 inch-pounds. Not 20 foot-pounds. You're gonna have a bad day. And please don't over tighten these. One key point here is if you over tighten these, you're gonna ruin the optic. It'll obviously start cinching down on the tube, rendering it ineffective. All right, so everything's been mounted. We've got 20 inch-pounds on the top, 20 inch-pounds on the mount itself. The only other things that you're gonna do two more things. You're gonna wanna put the lens caps back on, one on the rear, one on the front, and then get your battery in here. It's a CR 2032 battery. I think I've already got one in here. It's going to come inside the package, so we sell one battery and then we sell an extra battery along with it. It's going to be positive side or the flat side out. And that's it. You've got a level mounted optic. You've got your CR 2032 battery in there. Lens caps back on. You're ready to go. Zeroed in. If you have any questions, you can reach us at Tacticon.com. All of our contact information is in there. You can email us or give us a call. We're open Monday through Friday, 5 days a week. Pacific time, 8 o'clock to generally about 4:30 p.m. in the afternoon. Thank you.